Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your November 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead, and I'll be using tropical astrology, which is Western astrology, and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant, also known as rising sign, sun and moon signs, because watching all three will give you a very good idea of what to expect for the month ahead. Generally speaking, I find that people connect more to their rising sign more so than their sun and moon sign. Leo is probably an exception there because the sun rules over the sign of Leo. So you can watch this if you are a Leo rising sun or moon. So let's start off by looking at Mars retrograde in Gemini. On the 30th or the 31st of October, depending where you live in the world, Mars will station retrograde in the sign of Gemini in your 11th house, and it will be there for 10 weeks. It'll be retrograde until the 12th of January in 2023. So the last time we had Mars in retrograde, it was in the sign of Aries. If I can recall correctly, that was the end of 2020 and going into 2021. At that point in time, Mars was retrograde in my 11th house. So I remember it very well. This is actually when I either started my YouTube channel or when I shifted from, included doing astrology readings as well as tarot readings. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because you can achieve some amazing goals and dreams and projects of yours by the time you come out of the Mars retrograde period. So with Mars being retrograde in your 11th house, there will be an enormous focus on your friendship groups, networks, or your wider network, communities that you are part of, your long-term goals and dreams. And also the 11th house is considered to be a money house in astrology. So in terms of money, this is like passive forms of income, as well as investments, rents, royalties, dividends. And the 11th house can also represent people who are benefactors, so people who are investing in you. Nevertheless, with Mars being retrograde, this is essentially crunch time. This is when you'll be doubling down on your efforts, and this is where you can encounter obstacles, bumps in the road, or it may just require a lot more of your energy and effort to achieve your goals and objectives. So, with respect to what these goals actually are and when you started setting them, first of all, this could be something that you were considering from around the end of August in 2022, if not September. So let's just say the last 8 weeks. And that is because that's when Mars first entered the sign of Gemini. On a different level, though, this could be going back about 2 years to when Mars would have last been in the sign of Gemini, or even further. So we could be really bringing a goal or a project out of the woodwork to return to it. So first of all, Mars rules over your 5th house, which is Scorpio, and it also rules over Mars rules over your 4th house, which is Scorpio. Not your 5th house, but it also rules over your 9th house, which is Aries. So with that being said, maybe your long-term goal or dream is connected to 9th house matters, such as the travel and tourism industry, something to do with education, the law, court systems, politics, the import and export industry, publishing, as well as spirituality and religion. So maybe your goal or your dream is connected to a group or a community, especially if this is a religious or spiritual group or community, or maybe you've got a project which involves import and export, or maybe you're working on writing a book with Mars being in Gemini and you're wanting to get it published, which would tie in Mars ruling over the ninth house, which is publishing, and Mars being in your 11th house, which is someone investing in you and your talents. Nevertheless, it doesn't have to be these areas. On a different level, with Mars being retrograde in your 11th house, any large-scale, long-term project that you're working on, any event that you're planning, any conference or webinar or invention or innovation or technology that you're developing could encounter certain obstacles or bumps in the road, like I mentioned. And this is essentially like the editing point in time. So this is when you're going back, tweaking things, reworking things, probably having to pivot and adjust when it comes to your goals and dreams. And for some of you, you could be scrapping old ones and taking existing goals and dreams of yours and bringing these to the forefront. Now, because the 11th house is connected to friendships and your wider network, this can see you experiencing some tension or discord with these individuals or within a group or a community that you are part of. But on a positive note, this could see you working really hard to bring a community back together. You could be the one who is making the phone calls, planning an event, making sure that everyone is available to attend it. And just to give you that time frame again, we're looking at the end of October through till the 12th of January, but Mars will be in Gemini for 7 months, and that's from the 20th of August till the end of March. I think it's like the 25th of March or the 24th. So essentially, it may take you until the end of March to fully wrap up with this project. So don't despair if your plans are not being achieved in the time frame that you had set out for yourself. If you had planned for something to be ready before mid-January, despite this being a general reading, I'm sorry to say that it probably will be dragged out beyond that. I hope for some of you that's a bit of a relief, because if you were like, oh my God, I need to make this deadline, it's the 10th of December, I've got to do it. And that's just, there's no external pressure. It's just this internal pressure. You can breathe a sigh of relief and just know that one way or another, things will probably be pushed out further. So don't ride yourself too hard. Just give yourself the time that you need. Now, I just want to say that Mars is sextiling you. Okay, so this means that it's a helpful aspect, despite Mars being retrograde. This aspect is still working in your favor. Okay, so lastly, before I move on, I just want to say that because the 11th house is connected to long-term goals and dreams, as well as it being your money house, one of your money houses, this can indicate that, if you're trying to pursue rent money, if you're in between tenants, if you have invested in cryptos, or if you're trying to do something with generating a passive form of income, I do think you can be successful. It is 11:11 a.m. in Melbourne right now as I'm filming this. So 11:11 to me is a very positive and auspicious sign. It's a good omen. Just persist, pursue it, and you will be able to get there. There's just, a few hiccups along the way during this retrograde period. So now let's have a look at the total lunar eclipse, which is going to occur on the 8th of November. So this total lunar eclipse will be in Taurus at 16 degrees in your 10th house, and it will be almost exactly conjunct Uranus. Actually, I think the eclipse is at 15 degrees, 59 minutes. Let me just, do I have this tab open? Yeah, 15:59, okay. So total lunar eclipses, as you might imagine, are more impactful than partial lunar eclipses. So as a total full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse, this is a biggie. and there's a lot of tight aspects going on. We've got this near exact conjunction to Uranus, which adds an added layer of unpredictability. Eclipses are already quite unpredictable. And this eclipse is also going to be opposite Mercury and Venus. So that means that the Sun will be conjunct Mercury and Venus in the sign of Scorpio in your 10th house. So this is heavily activating that 10th and 4th house axes for you. The signs who will be most impacted by this eclipse, other than Taurians and Scorpios, are Leos and Aquarians, because this is a fixed sign eclipse. And also we've got one on the 25th of October as well in Scorpio. So for Leos, with this happening in your 10th house, this is very much connected to your status. Now, if you're a Leo sun, this is like your career status, your job, anything creative that you are doing, pursuing, maybe a performance, maybe a creative project that you've completed. So that's if you're a Leo sun. If you are a Leo moon, this is likely to be operating on the relationship front. Okay, so the status of your personal relationships can change. Same can be said for family. And I'm going to go into, how some specific ways that this can play out. Nevertheless, if you're a Leo moon, this can certainly be pertaining to relationship status, family, and your property and living circumstances. If you are a Leo rising, this can apply to all the above. So, on a career level, sometime between now and maybe even mid or end of November, there can be a huge shift taking place when it comes to your career. And I'm giving this wide window of opportunity or time frame because we're already in eclipse energy. So events don't need to happen on the eclipse. They can happen, 4 so weeks before, 4 so weeks after. Now, this can see you achieving a career goal or a career milestone, an unexpected promotion, and maybe someone comes to you and offers you this opportunity, or perhaps you threw your hat in the ring and you weren't really expecting to land it because maybe you've not been in the company for very long, or maybe there's more senior people, as in people who have more experience than you, but you can, obtain that position. There could be a shock resignation here as well, walking away from your job. And when I say shock, it could be a shock to other people. Maybe you seemed really happy there, or maybe you were really well integrated in that job, or maybe it's a shock to yourself. Maybe you just spat the dummy and you were like, screw this, I'm leaving. Or perhaps you had planned to resign from your job, but you thought that was a lot further down the line, but all of a sudden, push comes to shove and you're like, no, it has to be now. So on a different note, this can indicate an unexpected change of industry. Okay, maybe you are pursuing something that you love and other people are like, wow, I didn't see you. I wouldn't have thought you would have gone into that industry. So, this is coming from within, or maybe this is an opportunity to transition into a whole new industry, and this is a surprise to you, least of all anyone else. Now, some of you may have partnered up with a company, a group, a business partner, or just like a collaboration, which is quite unusual, or a contract could land in your lap very quickly, very unexpectedly. There could be a sense of urgency when it comes to needing to take this job, resign, quit, take on a new role, be promoted, etc. So this eclipse is just indicating that there's something very swift and unexpected about the event that is coming through. So that's on a career level. Now, because the 10th house is connected to your personal identity, as in what you're putting out there in the world. Okay, yes, the first house is connected to this as well, but the 10th house is like, I'm making these declarations, or people are very aware of this aspect of your life or of your identity. So a total lunar eclipse or total full moon eclipse in your 10th house, which is opposite Mercury and Venus and conjunct Uranus, can indicate that you are stepping into your authentic self and coming out as your authentic self. Now, you can take that as an actual coming out, whether this is to do with your sexual identity or preferences, or it could be a coming out in terms of something that you have kept under wraps. Maybe this is to do with your family life, your personal life, something to do with your children, your parents, immediate family, living circumstances, or this could be to do with what you are passionate about. Okay, so this could be like, hey, I'm really into astrology and I'm putting that out there, whereas previously you might have been reluctant to share that with absolutely anybody and everybody. And some of you may be putting this out on social media, especially because Mercury rules over your 11th house. And so this could be like you feeling as though you're, like I said, stepping into your authentic self, but then revealing a part of you that is extremely personal and private. So on a different level, the 10th house is connected to positions of leadership of all kinds. So even if you're not working, whether this is by choice, you're in between jobs, maybe you've retired from the workplace altogether, maybe you physically cannot work, this transit, this eclipse, I should say, with reference to positions of leadership does not need to pertain to work or career. This could be a position within a community or a group, or it could be with respect to your friends. It could be to do with a small group or team that you're working on or working with, I should say. And I'm saying this because Mercury rules over your 11th house, which is large groups and communities, but then Venus, which, Mercury and Venus are opposite the eclipse. We've got Venus ruling over your 3rd house, which represents these smaller groups. So in some way, shape, or form, you could be taking on a role of educating other people, working with other people, being a leader in a community that you are part of, being a voice, maybe with social justice issues or humanitarian causes. So, with this position of leadership, you could be obtaining a position of leadership, as in you could be a revered figure in one of these groups or communities, or you could be walking away. Maybe you were chairman of an organization or a charity, and maybe it's non-for-profit as well, and maybe you're walking away from this, and this could be like a shock exit. And for some of you, you could be giving up a position of leadership to obtain a new one or pursue something else. Now, with relationships, this is very much a part of this eclipse, and that is because this full moon eclipse is conjunct Uranus, and Uranus rules over your 7th house, which represents these personal one-to-one relationships. And then obviously we've got this activation of the 3rd house and the 11th house as well, with Venus and Mercury ruling over those. So this could see you announcing that you are with someone else, whether this is romantically speaking, this could be a business partnership, this could be a romantic engagement proposal, a marriage. This could be you announcing that you are breaking up with someone. Maybe you are parting ways, filing for divorce. And, this is a general reading. Obviously, I'm giving, excuse me, obviously, I'm giving examples that sit on the opposite end of the spectrum. That is because this is a general reading, and I hope that you're catching on here that it's the element of surprise, it's the element of unpredictability, it's the element of something happening out of the blue and real quick that you're not necessarily prepared for, or that other people aren't prepared for. So that's why I'm giving potential situations that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Now, this can also indicate that there is a change to your property and living circumstances. And that is because we've got your fourth house being activated. And so there can be an abrupt change of living circumstances, whether this is to do with where you live, you moving out, someone moving in, your rental situation, or buying or selling a property. So let's move on and look at the 16th of November, when Venus will enter the sign of Sagittarius. So actually, before I do that, I have a frog in my throat. So on the 16th of November, Venus will enter the sign of Sagittarius, which means it will be transiting your 5th house, and it will be there until the 10th of December. So wherever Venus goes, we enjoy the matters that house rules over. And Venus being in the 5th house is amazing. It means that Venus is trining you as a Leo sun, moon, or rising. With Venus in your 5th house, you can feel more creative, more artistic. You could be starting a creative project, or just getting back to something that you used to do, creatively speaking, whether this is music, writing, dance, performance, something that you enjoy. This could also be for work, that you are feeling creative when it comes to your work, especially because Venus rules over your 10th house. Your creative work or a creative performance or something to do with your business could be very visible during this period of time, because Venus rules over your 10th house. So this could bring you success and more business. And of course, the total full moon eclipse could be connected to you, launching something creative and, putting it out there into the world. Now, if you own your own business, this could see you trying new things, enjoying the work that you do, feeling more creative within that business, and exploring new skills and potential products to sell or to incorporate into your business somehow. The 5th house is connected to fun and recreation and leisure, as well as confidence. So you could be feeling more confident. You could be more social. I expect you definitely will be more social over this, 3 and a bit week period. And you could have a number of events that you are invited to and that you attend. You could actually have an opportunity to go on a vacation, or just let your hair down and have some fun. Now, the 5th house is connected to romance. So you could be going out on more dates. You could be enjoying flirtations around this time. You could actually get onto a dating app, or if you were previously on one and you weren't really using it, this could see you going back to that. And for those of you who are in a romantic relationship already, this is a good time for you guys. This indicates enjoying more romance and, fun time dating and going on dates with your significant other. The 5th house is connected to children. So if you already have them, something positive could be happening in the life of one of your children. And also you could be enjoying your relationship with them. There could be a blessing on your relationship with children. Now, I'm going to look at the Mars and Neptune square. So on the 19th of November, Mars, which is retrograde in Gemini in your 11th house, will square Neptune in Pisces at 22 degrees in your 8th house. So first of all, this square will occur 3 times. We already had it on the 12th of October. The second square will be November 19th, and the third and final one for quite some time will be on the 14th of March in 2023. So this is not, it is not a favorable aspect. Okay, I don't want to sugarcoat that, but I actually think that this square, it's almost like the confusion and uncertainty around it plays into people's interpretation and analysis of it. And I'm basing this on the fact that I experienced this square 8 days ago, and I have a mutable rising and moon. It wasn't that bad. I barely noticed it. That doesn't mean you won't notice it, but I would say that how you might experience this would be it's like the ball's in your court as to whether this is a glass half full or half empty situation for you. So there is a challenge here to see the silver lining. And the reason why I'm talking about there even being a silver lining is, one, because Mars rules over your ninth house, which is a lucky house. It's connected to divine timing and blessings and good fortune. And then we've got Mars in your 11th house, which sextiles you. The 11th house is another lucky house in astrology. So obviously, this is a general reading, so not all of it will apply. Nevertheless, I could put it this way. This period of time, so around the 19th of November, could be, a confusing time where you're not sure about your goals with Mars retrograde in the 11th house. Maybe you have to adjust them. There can be some insecurity and fear surrounding you going out there, putting yourself out there and achieving your goals. Old fears and insecurities could be bubbling up to the surface around this period of time. If things seem too good to be true and you're acting on blind faith, which is the Neptune square aspect, because Mars is to act, Neptune is just blindly, seeing what you want to see, then that might be the case. If something, seems absolutely perfect to you, it's a perfect opportunity, then you're probably missing something. Now, the reverse of that is true as well. If something seems absolutely terrible, if this opportunity or perhaps this collaboration invitation or this friendship seems doomed, or so there's something really amiss and you feel really off about it, it's probably highly likely that you're missing something, that you don't have the full picture, that you don't have the truth of the situation. So what I'm saying here is just temper your criticism, temper your desire to act on impulse, which is Mars, on a blind conviction that you are right about something, because you're probably wrong about something here. Now, on a different level, this can see you discovering that a friend or an acquaintance who seems, really supportive is not quite as supportive as they seem. So there can be some disappointment when it comes to a friend, a collaboration opportunity, or an acquaintance. And that's if, you thought that they were like 100%, like everything was, fine with this connection. So, there could be something awry in that situation. And obviously, this is still feeding into what I said earlier, but the inverse of this can be true as well, where if you are thinking, okay, this friend is out to get me, or this acquaintance is talking smack behind my back, or this collaboration opportunity, there's something not right, just wait a little bit, wait a week till the transit has passed, and then see how you feel, because, there could be something which is revealed to you a little later. Now, with projects, there could be a delay here, but it can benefit you. So maybe an investor delays their extending their financial support to you or their resources to you. But with Mars ruling over your ninth house, which is connected to, divine law and seeing the bigger picture, and with Neptune being angelic support, maybe this is going to benefit you. Maybe the timing will be quite divine in actual fact. Now, maybe a contract doesn't go ahead with one investor or one collaboration, but this leads to you discovering a better option down the track. And some of you may be feeling extreme confusion about how to proceed with a long-term goal or a project or a friendship group or a community. So if you feel extreme confusion around this time, I would advise, again, this is a general reading, I would advise that you just take a step back. Don't act. Don't feel forced into acting. Don't feel pressured as well from maybe a group or a community or a friend that, okay, you have to act now, the opportunity will pass you by. If it doesn't feel right and you're being forced by external pressure, by external forces to make a decision, just, assess whether you really need to make this decision right now. buy yourself some time. That would be my advice. Now, on the 23rd or the 24th of November, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius in your 5th house, which will be amazing. And a few minutes later, after the new moon, Jupiter will station direct in the sign of Pisces. So Jupiter will have less than 4 weeks in Pisces, because then it will be going back into Aries. So that occurs on the 20th of December. So with the new moon occurring in your 5th house, this indicates a new chapter or a new start taking place. And the 5th house, new moons in the 5th house, can be very exciting, especially because this one is conjunct Venus, which is a benefic planet in astrology, and it is conjunct Mercury. So for many Leos, this can indicate a new creative project, discovering a new passion. Maybe you want to start writing a book. Maybe you're getting into arts and crafts or music or dance. Maybe you are going to create something new which is connected to technology, okay, especially with Venus ruling over your 3rd house. So this could be a new app, website, anything to do with technology, anything to do with communications. This could be like filming something, photography, etc. You could be starting a new business, or there could be a new development in your business. So you could be planning to roll out new services or new products. And for some of you, with the 5th house ruling over children and romance, this could indicate that some of you may fall pregnant, especially if you are if you're a Leo moon or a Leo rising. This new moon is at 1 degrees. So if you're between 0 degrees and maybe 3 or 4 degrees, that would pertain more so to you guys than if you're like a 20, more than that. This will pertain more to early born Leos than later born Leos. On a different note, this can see a new chapter taking place in the life of one of your children. You could be planning to have a child or planning to expand your family further. And on a different note, on a romantic front, you can meet someone new during this time. Really wanted to end it on a high. So you could meet someone new, you could start dating, there could be a new chapter starting in your existing romance. Maybe you're making it official, announcing it to the world. And, for some of you, this could be with a friend or someone you met online or someone you met locally. And I'm basing that on the fact that Venus rules over your 3rd house and Mercury rules over your 11th house. So Leo, that's all I have for you for November 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and I'll see you guys next month.